Hi, and welcome to the Quiet Operator podcast. Today, I'm joined by Yehya from CNC Auto Electrics, who works as an auto electrician. Yehya, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Nathan. Appreciate it.
So, mate, tell me, auto electrician, what does that actually mean and what do you do?
Look, in a nutshell, anything electrical that is related to cars, trucks, boats, anything with a battery and a motor is pretty much within the scope of what I do.
Okay.
I mean, I've worked from
And
anything from cranes to dump trucks to cars. I've rewired boats. Yeah, there's a lot in it.
okay, so we're talking a whole wide variety. And is it mostly you deal with just everyday consumers in their homes, or is it more commercial based clients that you deal with?
So I started off when I was doing my apprenticeship, mainly doing just cars. So your day-to-day car, retail customers, and then when I went out on my own, I decided to focus on the commercial side of things. So I started doing more heavy vehicles, your big trucks, your heavy machinery, and as of lately, I do a lot of cranes as well, mobile cranes.
Mm-hmm.
I found that's just where I wanted to take things and specialize in sort of one little region rather than trying to do everything.
Great. So, I mean, talking about cranes, that's not something which many people have a lot of experience working with.
No.
So, I mean, does that mean you're actually out on the machinery itself, or
Oh
I'm
yeah.
assuming it's on the ground when you're.
Well, so mobile cranes, they're not the type that I think you're thinking of, which are bolted on the roof of skyscrapers.
Mhm.
These are on wheels, so they drive them around. They're the ones you'll see on the major projects here in Victoria.
Okay, terrific. And so, how did you get into this to begin with? Was this something that you decided to do after high school?
Um, Honestly, it wasn't something that was planned. So during high school, I don't know if you know, but they offer like a TAFE course that you can do while you're doing your VCE.
Hmm.
So once a week, you'd go to a TAFE school and pick a trade that you want to learn. I was always into cars, so I thought I'd do mechanical. So once a week, I did that for 2 years during year 11, year 12. And part of it is you'd have to, on your 2 week holiday, do a work placement. My TAFE teacher at the time, the guy who was teaching us at trade school, hooked me up with a 2 week job in North Melbourne for a place called Core. It was one of his buddies, and they were auto electricians. He goes, give it a shot. You're better off than mechanics. It's just, he paid better money, is what he said. For me, it wasn't a career at the time. I was just doing it just for fun. I originally wanted to go become an engineer. Um, did the 2 weeks, and after the 2 weeks, I guess the guy offered me a job. He wanted me to
Like
quit.
that. And so, how old were you at this stage? You're
I was
17?
17. Yeah, 17. He basically offered me a job off the bat. Said, leave school right now and come work for me. I said, look, I want to finish the year out. I want to get my certificate. So I'll let you know. I finished year 12 and done my exams, applied for university, thought about it. And I said, you know what have I got to lose? I try it out. If I don't like it, I could always go back to uni. And that was it. I'd never turned back after that. So straight out of high school, went into it and just stuck to it.
Oh, terrific. And so, and with that, there comes an apprenticeship, which is about a 4 year apprenticeship initially. So that,
Yeah, so
and
you do 3 years of schooling, and then the last year is just all hours. You got to do trade.
gotcha. And how long were you working as an employee in that field before you actually went out and went into business for yourself?
Yeah, so I did my 4 year apprenticeship. Uh, as soon as I finished my 4 year apprenticeship, I was offered a job for another gentleman in Camperfield.
Hmm.
It was too like the offer was too good to refuse. I couldn't stay where I was, so I took that offer. I worked 1 year for him, and he was planning on retiring. He's in his 50s now, but he was moving to Adelaide, so he basically just said, do you want to take over? And so after a year of working under him, we partnered up, and he became my business partner for a few years before he moved on to Adelaide. So that's kind of how segued into working on my own.
So it was never anything that was planned. You weren't working off a
Not
long
really. It
term
was
plan.
just opportunities that I saw and decided to take rather than let slide.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that's pretty terrific. And so tell me, so we talked a little bit about it offline, but in terms of the fact that you've grown up in a family that's migrated across here, was setting up a business ever a part of what was ingrained in you as a young child, or was it more just get a stable, steady job?
No, actually, so funnily enough, me and my parents came here in the. My dad came here in the late 80s, my mum in the early 90s, and they've been here ever since. They never really grew up in in a working household, so my dad unfortunately slipped a disc very badly in the 90s at an early age. I think he was about 28, maybe 29 when he did it. Uh, 5 surgeries later, and he's still on a walking stick, so he was never really working whilst I was alive, at least. My mum, unfortunately, 5 kids is a bit too much. She couldn't do it either, so I didn't grow up around people that were working or business owners or anything like that. But growing up, I guess, poor and sort of struggling most of the time, I think that was what was ingrained in me. I just didn't want to end up that way. I wanted to eventually have, or give my own family, if I ever have one, a bit of an easier life. So that's mostly what drove me sort of to be successful and do what I do.
So it's really, you've gotten to where you are just through hard work
Just hard
and
work.
continuously.
I made good connections over the years. When opportunities arose, I decided never to pass them up. Something looked good, give it a shot. What do you got to lose in this life? There's no harm in failing.
No, I mean, mate, that's solid advice. The thing, what I love about what you did is you went in with that approach of, I'll give this a go, and if it doesn't work, I'll try something else.
That's it.
But then you found it kept working, and then you've just built upon it.
Even when I thought it wasn't working, I just stuck to it. I mean, an apprenticeship is hard to get through for an apprentice. I mean, I remember not having enough money to fill up the petrol in my car to get to work because I was on maybe $300 something a week, and I chose a very poor fuel efficient car, so that was kind of my fault. But yeah, it's hard to get through, especially if you're not making enough money to sort of, I guess, live off. But I just stuck to it. I did the full 4 years. Apprentice wages aren't the best, but once it's all said and done, I've reaped the rewards later. So I guess it was that sense of delayed gratification, if you want to call it.
Which has sort of led you now. And so now in your position as a business owner and someone that's actively working in the business, what is it, you mentioned you going out on site to places like mobile cranes, fixing other vehicles. Is that a typical day for you, or being involved in the business, is there other parts? Are you dealing with the sales, invoicing, sourcing, the actual parts that you require, or all of the above?
All of the above. Unfortunately, I do it all myself. I don't have anyone working under me just yet. I tried to employ in the past. I've had trouble sort of finding good talent or someone who just wants to show up every day. So from doing all the breakdowns, going out on site, doing the jobs in the shop, ordering the parts, doing the quoting, meeting with customers. Because I also do a lot of van fit outs and stuff like that. So it keeps the wheels turning at the shop. And then I do breakdowns too. So, you get a truck that's broken down on the side of the road, it's not going. I'm the guy they usually call. So you got to be ready to go out at any time. I mean, I've had calls in midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. Truck's broken down on site, full of concrete or full of asphalt, and they need to get it going. They don't have a choice. So, yeah, it's all hands on deck.
And so in those sort of cases, are they people that you've already done other work for?
Yeah, so most of my work that I do are for regular customers that I've known or been doing work for a long time now. I do get the occasional new customer here and there, but I prioritise my regulars who I service on a monthly basis, without a doubt.
Sure. And how do customers find you at the moment? Is it just word of mouth referral predominantly?
Yeah, word of mouth has been the only way that I've actually built customers. It's just kind of a tight-knit industry, so most of the truck drivers do know each other. I started off just doing a couple of jobs for this guy, that guy, and next thing you know, word spread, and my number got passed around. So I've never had to advertise for work. It's always just sort of come in from other work that I've done. And also because there's just been that much workload, I haven't had the time or the opportunity to advertise because I haven't just needed to do it. So that'll be interesting when the time comes.
Sure. And I mean, how does your setup look like? Because I guess given the fact that it's literally, it sounds like a lot of your jobs are, it's go time, you know, you need to get out there straight away. So you've got a truck that's fully set up with absolutely everything that you need to be able to service a job, or how does that work? How do you manage parts and make sure you've got the right tools, etc.?
So I do have a workshop that I work out of in Camberfield there, but I have a Ford custom van that's my daily work van, and that's kitted out with almost everything I could use or need on site, from dual battery systems to an inverter. I mean, I've got 240 power supply in there to run aircon equipment. I also do air conditioning. I carry most of the essentials, and after 5-6 years in the trade, now I've been in the trade for 8 years, but you kind of know what you need to carry if you were to get a breakdown after hours or even during the day.
Sure. But I can imagine that's come from the fact that you've had that 8 years. Was there ever a period of time early on that you've shown up for a job and gone, oh gosh?
Nathan, it still happens today. It still happens today. You have no idea. You get out there sometimes and you're just like, I forgot to top up the van, and you're missing one little item that has kind of, you got to try work around now. So, it still happens. It still happens plenty.
So a large portion of your work is really, it's lateral problem solving. There's not always just one solution on how to get around an issue.
Oh, never one solution. No, there's not a day where it's just, copy and paste the next day. No, it's always something different.
Amazing. And we were also talking about the fact that through the fact that you've been able to run your business, but even before you ran your business, I mean, you're in your late 20s now, but you actually bought your first property in your early 20s. You mentioned earlier that, it didn't sound like there was a lot of help that you would have been able to get financially from your parents, especially them raising that many kids, and it doesn't sound like there was huge incomes flowing through the house.
No.
So how did you get yourself in the position, and what motivated you to buy your first home to begin with?
That would be my mum, actually. She always pushed me to save my money, not to waste it. Obviously, she budgeted to raise 5 kids on just settling payments alone, so which is pretty difficult. I can't imagine anyone doing it now. That's right. So she kind of instilled that saving mentality. So I didn't waste my money when I was earning it as an apprentice. Saved most of it, and then within the second or third year of my apprenticeship, I had enough sort of skill under my belt that I started doing my own jobs after hours. I mean, I was working from 7 a.m. to 5 a.m. for my boss, and then from 6 p.m. till about maybe midnight sometimes for myself. I was doing almost, 20 hours a day sometimes. Working weekends, working holidays. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't travel till I was 24, 25. So, yeah, and all that money I just put aside till eventually I had a deposit when I was 22. So from 18 to 22, I had enough for a 10% deposit. The government always giving out a scheme back then. And I just went for it. I knew nothing about property, mind you. Not a single thing. Not what I know now, at least. I just knew I had to just give it a shot. It was one of those things I'm just like, yep, I'm going to do it. So, stuck to it.
Same approach again.
Same approach.
But what I like about that is, especially because this isn't 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago. This is within the last about 6 years since you bought your first property.
Yeah, spot on.
Particularly now, there's a lot of talk about the fact that housing is so hard to get into that there's a generation. But from the sounds of it, you've done this completely on your own, and you didn't do it with some high-paying job. You're on still apprentice. You mentioned first-year apprentice was only a few $100s. I'm assuming by the time you get to the second, third year.
By the time I was 4th year on the verge of qualifying, I was on $21.50 an hour. Yeah, that's it. That's as much as it paid as well. Unless somebody decided to give you more, which, look, nobody really does. So yeah, $21.50.
which is probably about what you would have made working a retail job as well.
Oh, I had a job at Woolies when I was still 18, and I kid you not, I think it almost paid the same thing as a fourth year apprentice,
Yeah,
and that was part time. That was casual.
absolutely. But then what's interesting as well, yeah, is you've gone from that one property, but then you've actually bought out a couple of investment properties as well. Is this about transferring the wealth from your day-to-day job to be able to plan for something in the future, or what's the main motivation behind it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I mean, it'd be silly if you're not investing in your future, especially at a young age. I mean, you've said it to me multiple times. If you start young, there's more time for that wealth to sort of compound over time. So definitely looking to invest for the future. I mean, you can't build wealth just working and trading time for money. There's only so much time in a week. So investing is where I've gone.
No, it's excellent because you've, like you said, it sounds like you've just basically worked your absolute guts out and effectively traded your time for money, but then you put it into investing, which is actually allowing you to get some growth. So you're getting the compounding benefit on it.
Got to let your money make your money as well.
Absolutely. So I mean, you've got your business. It seems like it's going really well. You've also got the property that's building wealth. So in terms of comparing where you are today financially, as opposed to where you would be if you were just working in, say, a standard job, doing what you were doing. So if you had have continued on from your fourth year and the next place you went and just stayed there versus working for yourself, what sort of a difference as a multiple is working for yourself allowing you to earn?
Oh, I'd say at least 3 times. Yeah. Look, nowadays, someone with my skill level, I mean, I've been offered jobs, even being self-employed. People have offered me to come work for them and just buy me out, basically, just so I could come on board. It pays good money to be a qualified auto electrician with good skill, but it's still, yeah, at least 3 times as much. But you got to put in the hours. It's not, you can't be doing, the office hours or the 8 to 5 and then go home. It's like I told you before. I've had calls at midnight sometimes where our customer's broken down and you got to be there for them. You can't leave them hanging. So, but the reward is there. So if somebody is willing to do it and happy to put in the hours and something for themselves, I mean, I take pride in what I do, especially for myself and my business. That's something that I actually look forward to growing and doing better over time.
And do you think that's what separates you and means that you're able to perform better? The fact that you're also invested because it's your name on the door, it's your business, but B, you've also got that genuine pride to keep getting better.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to trades, if people don't take pride in their work as tradies, that's how you end up with poor tradesmanship and workmanship. So pride is a big thing in what you do. And the fact that, yeah, it is something I started, and it is my name on that company, so definitely it motivates me to keep doing better and trying to do the best I can.
Terrific. I mean, it sounds like we're doing this on a Sunday, this recording on a Sunday, which I guess is testament to the fact of how many hours you put in a solid week. In terms of the costs of running your business, and not getting too specific here, but is it mostly your manual labour that's the largest expense, or is it the actual materials that you need to fix a job?
No, if it was, like I'd say, I had employees rather than myself being on the tools. Labour would be, and wages would be probably the biggest expense in that scenario. When you're looking at the books now, in my scenario, because I'm self-employed, I mean, the wages are my own earnings, so it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, if I had employees and it was different setup, definitely would be wages. Trying to keep someone on board is pretty expensive these days.
I can imagine, and also to find someone of the quality. So is that on that, and the fact that you've mentioned that you challenge the challenges for trying to find good quality staff? Is that something which means the business is effectively limited in terms of how far it can grow, or do you have, you talk about sort of you're about 3 times what you'd be if you're on wages, but is that really as high as you can get, or is there ability to push that up a bit more?
So there's ability to push that up a little bit more by fine tuning the kind of work that you take on.
Hmm.
Just a little bit difficult because there's only so much work out there, I guess, in a specific field. So there's certain jobs that pay more than others, as you might know. Um,
But give me a couple of examples. So I'm assuming that the 1 a.m. breakdown job is going to pay a little bit better.
yeah, yeah, it's not for free. No, no. Look, the breakdown work is good because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of people out there that will go out at any time of the night and do those kind of jobs, or that can fix the trucks at a time. And most of the time, they get towed. And if you could save a truck driver a tow, I mean, that's 15 to 2 grand just for a tow truck to come and pick them up. You know, if you go out there and fix the job and they could keep going and continue to make money rather than having to get towed and lose a day or two of work, customers are more willing to pay you a higher fee to come out and fix it. So those jobs there, they do pay well if you charge it out correctly, obviously. The other one is the heavy machinery, the cranes. I mean, it's dangerous work. You need to charge it out correctly. So they pay well. They pay well as well.
So when you say it's dangerous work, can you give me a couple of examples?
An example, probably one of the biggest cranes I've worked on. They call it a 1750. So this thing's probably about the size of my house, actually bigger than my house. I was working on a platform, probably about 6 meters off the ground. Uh, Carrying my tools up and down. I had to get a scissor lift out there, so falling off there is not, it's not an easy thing. So yeah, it can be a bit dangerous. You got to be careful when you're up there.
And so, what are you harnessed on at this sort of point when you do it?
No, there is inbuilt platforms right around the machine that you could walk on, but no harnesses.
Sure. And so, is that because of the danger, or just is it the physical fitness and agility that means there's less people that would want to do that type of role?
Oh, absolutely, both. It's not an old man's game, I don't think. I mean, it took a lot out of me those few days working on that machine just to get the job done. So, and I'm pretty fit myself.
Absolutely. And I mean, in terms of, all we're talking about is large amounts of hours of working. Do you ever get to take time off? With holidays, are they a reality for you?
Recently, I've made it a reality. It got to a point where I was really exhausted, mentally, physically. I said to myself, look, we'll put in the hard yards, the 6 days a week, doing the late hours, but a couple of weeks a year, take time off, go overseas, do a bit more travelling. So I've recently travelled to Thailand, as you and I spoke recently about. So that's my first time sort of going outside of the country and then doing a little bit of something else, taking a bit of R&R.
Ah, terrific. And come back fresh, although it sounds like you got a bit of a throat cough still.
Oh, that's lingering from last week. I'm on the back end of a flu or whatever's going on around in Melbourne right now.
And I mean, how do you decompress at the end of the day? Because I assume that with what you're doing, there's a large amount. It's not just mental, but it's also physical. And the fact that you're on the road so much, the level of focus that you need to have, you'll often be driving during heavy periods of traffic.
Mm.
It's not something where you have the luxury of just sitting back and relaxing at a desk like an office-based worker. So how do you decompress at the end of the day, given that your hours sound like they're all over the place?
I don't know if I do decompress it, Nathan, to be honest with you, because by the time I get home, I'm pretty much in my gym clothes and going off to the gym after that. I'm trying to stay fit as well, so yeah, it's pretty much just all noise 24/7 until I'm in bed. I think Sunday's the only day where I can decompress and do things like this.
And actually just take a moment to be able to breathe.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I do monthly myotherapy appointments. People don't know what that is. It's basically like a masseuse, but a bit more specialised. So that's, I mean, by the end of the week, my back's all in knots. So it's
So is that for ongoing injury, or is that just a more of a maintenance thing to
Bit
make
more of a
sure?
maintenance. Yeah, you're pretty stiff by the end of the week. Sometimes you get in awkward positions when you're trying to do things on certain machines or even cars, especially. Your back can be out of whack. So once a month I go down there, just a monthly maintenance thing. I haven't had too many major injuries. I mean, last year was probably the biggest injury that I had. I tore my tendons in my ankle and was on crutches for a month and 2 months almost actually. So that made it very hard to do the job.
I can imagine. I mean, even 2 months though, that was when you. I remember you telling me about that. That was still an extremely fast recovery. That I would have thought that would be a 3+ month generally.
Actually, it was supposed to be a 5 month recovery period, but I somebody recommended a clinic in Malvern called Shorecell. I don't know if you've heard of them before. They do this thing called plasma replacement therapy, where they draw your own blood, spin it in a centrifuge, and extract just the plasmas that do the healing, and then they inject it in the area that needs it. So I did that actually, and surprisingly it worked.
No, it's pretty amazing. Um, Mate, in terms of, I know you touched on a few of them in those late night sort of calls, but have you ever had just this extremely strange call out or, the worst breakdown that you've ever seen with your work?
I wouldn't say strange. I mean, most of the things that I've seen before. Worst one, hands down. So I do a lot of work on waste management vehicles.
Okay.
Your council trucks, the ones that pick up the garbage, your front lifts, your side loaders, they can be very disgusting to work on, especially when you got to get under there. I had one broken down once on the side of the road, and it's full of garbage. There's bin juice coming out the side. Oh, that's had to be the worst one. I mean, I couldn't even sit back in my car after that. I had to take half my clothes off just to get back in the car.
Now tell me that's one that you'd charge a little bit more than.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. Yeah, 100%. We'll charge them a cleaning fee after that one. Oh, yeah, that it's pretty rough, especially on the hot days, like in the summer times. If you've got a truck stuck on the side of the road and the asphalt's, melting basically, you tend to burn your skin a few times trying to get under there and do what you got to do.
I can imagine. And with a lot of the call outs you get, is the main reason for you being called out human error from the person operating the machine? Or is it just general, everything has a lifespan on it and eventually it wears out?
Look, yeah, very unlikely that it's human error. Most of the time, it is just nothing lasts forever. I mean, these trucks sometimes or machines aren't maintained very well, and eventually something breaks or something gives. As well as electrical items tend to fail after time. You'll find that I've changed a lot of computers. On the outside, it looks like nothing wrong with them, but on the inside, they fail time and time again. And you'll find there's a common pattern in certain trucks, certain models. Uh, Specific items fail after a period of time.
So it's just really dealing with that. And unfortunately, I don't give you much of a warning. It'll go from
No,
working and then completely stopping the next one.
no, that's right.
And just going back to what you've done yourself, because I know you're an extremely modest person, but it's a great achievement what you've done, having your own business and the multiple properties, and still being in your 20s. What would you say that people that are in your age bracket that are struggling, what's some of the things that they're getting wrong in terms of being able to build wealth early?
I think mostly it's mindset, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I've never had the mindset of, I couldn't do it. I always just, like we said before, you give it a shot, give it your best and see what happens. Most of the time when you give something your absolute best, it will work out. You know what I mean? It's when you don't or you half-ass something that 9 times out of 10 it's not going to happen for you. So I guess for the younger guys out there that, are thinking about it, just really focus on what you want to do and do something that you take pride in doing. Don't do something you're going to regret for the rest of your life, because you're not going to get very far.
Yeah, that's solid. In terms of anyone that coming from yourself with there's plenty of not just in Melbourne but across Australia, plenty of migrant families where people might be thinking about starting a trade-based business. You know, what's one sort of suggestion that you'd give them if they were a bit reluctant or they weren't sure it would work out? I guess you probably just answered the question with the last one, give it a go.
Pretty much, but look, don't be afraid to ask people. I guess when I started off, I took a lot of advice from my ex boss, who hired me originally. You know, we still have dinner now. I kept a good relationship with him. My ex business partner, I still speak to. I have friends in the trade that I've met. Competition, basically, that we do a bit of work together, that we help each other out. So try and build relationships with people within the trade while you're doing it, I guess. And that'll get you far. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask questions and ask for a bit of help. You know, so that's helped me a lot as well, starting off. Especially when you know nothing about, like, I knew nothing about running a business. And, you know, I was always an employee before I started, so doing the admin side of things, I had no idea. So I asked people. I hired a good bookkeeper, obviously, so she helped me with a lot of that. But yeah, just don't be afraid to ask.
It's interesting, just to go back what you touched on, you mentioned competitors, but then you said working together. And I think that the one thing which most people get wrong is that they think that if someone's doing exactly the same job or very similar work, that there's no way that they can actually work together. But it sounds like you've already had that experience where you've been working with people that are also doing exactly the same type of business. How does that come about? Is it more when they've got overflow or you've got overflow and you pass the person on?
So a couple of the guys I just knew from my apprenticeship days. We still keep in contact. We help each other out. If he's stuck on a job and he can't figure it out, or vice versa, or maybe I just need a couple of extra hands. And a few other guys I met because certain companies specialise in certain things. I specialise in scanners, doing diagnostics on them, and I've got the software for it. So some of these guys out there know that and will call me when they have a scanner related issue. Vice versa, they have certain software that I don't have, or they specialise in certain trucks that I'm not very familiar with, and so I'll call them for that. And there's so much work out there that there's just no need for us to step on each other's toes, so we never really do. We have that level of respect between each other that, you know, if they know one of my customers is trying to go to them, they'll call me up and they won't take the job on. They feel no need to break that relationship over one customer.
Which is important. You end up with mutual respect.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And they've helped me heaps over the years, and vice versa. If anything, I've helped them plenty as well.
Absolutely. And mate, I mean, you've touched on it that you've had great relationships, and that seems like really the skill that you've had is that you've taken advice from people that have done what you've done beforehand, and effectively being able to stand on the shoulders of those that have worked the path before you. Is that really what you'd say your key tip to running a business is, to find and interact with people that have done it before?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no point taking advice from someone who hasn't done it. So look for people who have done it or are doing it, and definitely take their advice in and consider what they've gone through, their challenges they've had. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the big reasons why, and the key things why I am where I am today.
Amazing. Is there anything else that you wish you had have known a few years ago that you know now about running a business that you've encountered along the way?
I don't think so. No, I don't. I tend not to look back on the past and you know, look at what I could have done differently. I continuously just look forward and see what I can do now, you know, and can do in the future. So I can't think of anything that I would change.
Amazing. And mate, wrapping up, tell me, where's the growth plan? So you mentioned that perhaps more specialised jobs and higher paying jobs, but what about for yourself? You're already on 3 properties. Are you going to try and get to 5, 10? You played too much Monopoly as a kid by the sounds of it. So.
I'll be honest with you, I think I've only played Monopoly a couple of times, but I won both times, so that's a good sign.
You're winning the real life version of it as
well. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll just keep going as far as I can. So I think after now that I've got my third one, I've kind of hit a borrowing capacity limit. So I'm going to turn my focus back onto the business and try and grow that again. So employees will be the next step. Trying to employ some people. I might even train a couple of guys up. If I can find some young kids out there who are willing to do the trade and put in the hours, bestow a bit of knowledge on them, and hopefully, we could both win from that. So that's definitely the next step for me at the moment. And then we'll turn back to investing and growing that portfolio once again, once the money starts coming in.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure learning more about what you do today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. See you, mate.